brake boosting it, launching it. Jesus, it's pretty quick. Jesus, that's really fast. 0 to 100 in seconds. Seems like a hot hatch. That woman just said, you, even though she cut in front of me. You shut up. Hey guys, check this out. We are here with the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max. You might think this looks very similar to a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, but it is actually a bigger Chery Tiggo. It's a big O Tiggo. You see, you now get a third row. It is a little bit more expensive, but not very much. It's $41,990 it starts at for the Urban. This one here, of course, naturally, we get the top of the range. Ultimate all-wheel drive, only $47,990. So about $2,000 more spec for spec than a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. And frankly, you get more. You get a bigger, more powerful engine. You get a bigger, more powerful interior, I guess. But you also get some more added features. There are some drawbacks though, because even though they look kind of similar, they drive remarkably different. So today we're going to take you for a full tour of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max. Pro Max meaning the engine apparently, not the iPhone. We will check out the exterior, move on to the interior, talk about the practicality. Is it any good, especially with that third row? Does it actually make much of a difference? Can you fit back there? Can I fit back there? Then we're going to launch this thing. We'll see just how quick it is from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. We're going to drive it, give it lots of sauce, and finally we're going to end on our final thoughts. Should you buy a Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max? It's a big name. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so let's talk about the way that this thing looks, because I really like it, but it's definitely taken some inspiration from other cars, namely the headlights here. So it's got these cool like L shape here, very much like a Mazda CX-8, which is interesting. I mean, it looks really good. Just weird that it's very much the same. You get very bright LEDs though, projector style LEDs with a sequential indicator there as well. Actually, from the front, it does look quite different, especially side by side with a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, which has like blue accents. This doesn't get it. It also has a nice diamond grille, which I really quite like. Got the new Chery badge there as well. You got a radar here. Now, this thing doesn't have an official ANCAP as of filming this, but they are gunning for a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. And considering when we went to China, we learned that they crash 5 of these every single day for crash safety. Yeah, it's going to get a 5-star. I'd be pretty surprised if it didn't. It also has updated autonomous driving now. So when you are driving down the highway, it's not yanking you as much as it did anyway. It's been updated and tuned for the Australian market, and you can really tell, but we'll come back to that when we drive it. Otherwise, it's an SUV. Not the most inspiring white, but you can get it in like 9 different colors, including purple and green. Definitely would get one of those. Let's check out the side. Now, like I said, we are here with the ultimate all-wheel drive, but it isn't very expensive, $47,990. So as part of that, you do get an all-wheel drive system, and you also get better tires. This is important. So 19-inch wheels, which is a good size. It's not too big. You also get Cooper tires here, which is an American brand. And I took this thing's smaller brother, the Tiggo 7 Pro, out into rural Australia, and had really good tires, very solid, a good choice. So well done. But if you go for lower grades, you get Gitty no-name tires, which is great. You get a 360 camera here for the mirrors. You've also got, of course, keyless entry and go. You get very tinted privacy glass, which is good to see. You've also got these roof rails up here, which are rated for 50 kilograms, in case you care. By the way, this whole car has a 1.3 ton brake towing capacity, which is the first Chery to have a brake towing capacity. But otherwise, it's a big fat SUV, nothing really to talk about. Let's check out the bum. Alrighty, let's talk about the bum and the way that that looks. I honestly think it looks really nice. Love this tail light on the back, a very cool light bar. It's also got some very bright LEDs pretty much everywhere. All-wheel drive badge, that's to signify that you spent the big bucks for not actually that many big bucks. You've also got the Tiggo 8 Pro Max. Now, the issue with having the world's longest name is that to put it all on the back, it's really hard to make it straight. And so as a result, you get some weird off-kilted letters and numbers, which you now can't unsee. Also, the 390T badge, that refers to the amount of newton meters of torque that this thing gets, but it's 390 newton meters in China. In Australia, it's 375. A little bit weird, Chery, but you do you. Chery badge there as well. And down the bottom, you get this pretty interesting looking bumper, but also quad exhaust, and they're real quad exhausts, and I'll let you be the judge of how it sounds. Alrighty, let's talk about what it can fit inside of its bum. Press that, you get a powered tailgate that comes from the mid-spec up, which is good to see anyway. So you actually get a decent amount of space, 117 litres of boot space. Nothing under the floor here, but that's okay. It's also really easy to drop the third row, and they fold into the floor, and that gives you over 470 litres of boot space. Then, of course, you could drop the other row, which is the second row, I guess it's called, and then you get a stupid amount of space. It's something like 1,400 litres. kilometers. It is a very practical SUV and certainly more practical than the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. Alrighty, let's check out the interior. Alrighty guys, coming into the interior now as I get delivered forward. One of the things that Chery does really well, especially in the last few years, has just been interior. And if you have spent any time in a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, this does feel quite similar, though there are some pretty big additions. So first of all, you have the nice soft touch material absolutely everywhere. This is option with the brown interior. You can also get this with black. Brown is only available in the ultimate trim, which is of course what we're driving today. But when you keep in mind the price, guys, it's just, you get a lot. So first of all, you get these really nice diamond quilted faux leather seats. Honestly, they feel very real. They've got the Tigo badge embossed into them. The seats are heated, but only the seat base is cooled. I will forever be confused by that because my back is what gets warm, not my bum. But anyway, you have automatic adjustment here and they are very, very comfortable, which is an issue that a lot of Chinese cars used to have, having very uncomfortable seats. But I've actually spent a lot of time now behind the wheel of this car and it is really, really good. Also, you get very luxury features. For example, here on the passenger side, you can move it from anywhere else in the car. That is actually a chauffeur feature to be able to push that forward and be able to create more space for the backseat passengers. Cool stuff like that. The Tigo 8 Pro Max also adds a dash cam up here. So you've got an SD card slot there and this can act as a dash cam, which kind of saves you like $800 instead of having to install something professionally yourself. And also having like a wart there, it's all just integrated. It also adds fragrances. This is something you don't really see outside of BMW 7 Series, but yeah, you've got these 3 little canister ports here in this center area with 3 different fragrances, which is interesting. I think it's a bit of a useless feature, if I'm being totally honest, but hey, you get it. In terms of technology, you again get a lot. So you get these 2 curved 12.3-inch displays. You have wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on this one. You've also got Turbo Dog navigation. That's just a weird name, but anyway, you've got Turbo Dog there, which is good. It's got built-in navigation. Up in front of you, you get a digital instrument cluster, and it's quite slow, but it does show plenty of information, including full-size maps if that's what you want. And you can change the theme. I love these. You have classic, streamer, and fashion. Weird. Anyway, but they do actually look pretty good. At least you get some customizability again for the price. And this is all the way from the base model up till the top grade. And in terms of charging, well, you've got plenty of options. So you've got a USB-C fast charger here, USB-A port as well to connect to the display. You do have a 50-watt wireless charger, which is really fast. And it's got an air conditioning vent underneath it. So when you do put your phone on it, it actually blasts cool air up, which is actually super important because the biggest defeater of phone batteries is heat. So you don't have something there just warming up your phone while it charges. It actually keeps it cool and charging. You've also got a little 12-volt socket under here. By the way, you have a massive storage area under here. You can put pretty much whatever you want. Almost a full-size backpack could fit under there. It's huge. Couple of cup holders here, a pretty massive glove box as well. The door bins are a decent size. Shout out to the Sony sound system in here. Sounds so good, but the base model sound system really doesn't sound that great, to be honest. I don't know why Chery seems so hell-bent to keep their rear view mirror to be like this fisheye 3D effect. I've got a great view of the people inside the car, but the people outside the car, less so. So please change that. You've also got your shifter here, which is fine. Nothing remarkable. Oh, more storage under here, by the way. Massive, massive center armrest with an aircon vent in there to keep drinks nice and cool in the summer. That's awesome. And I got to shout out this steering wheel. At first, it was like huge and really in your face, but once you start to hold on to it, you never want to let go. It's actually really, really nice. And you've got buttons to control pretty much everything, so you don't really have to take your hands off the steering wheel to conduct most of the functions in here. Sorry, the obligatory FU to this eye camera system. The tuning of the eye view monitor, like pretty much every car at the moment, is just not good. And if you dare wear sunnies like me, it'll just keep going off. Thankfully, you can turn it off, but you still have to go through the menus to do so, which is annoying. But I almost feel like that's a broken record at this point. Everyone is struggling with that, like every manufacturer, and it's killing me. But yes, overall, really impressed with the interior space. Let's check out the back seats. Alrighty guys, back seats. Now I'm 5'11". I've got heaps of legroom. Toe room is amazing and headroom is amazing as well. Even with this massive panoramic sunroof, which literally becomes like a convertible. You can pull it so far back. That's awesome. So really backseat passengers, you get so much room. I'm very, very impressed. You have a couple of air vents here. You've got some interesting like Tigo font here. It's like fancy Tigo, which is just weird, but I like it. You've got a USB-A port, another USB fast charger, and a little phone storage area there too. You have massive map pockets, like genuinely massive. And the quality doesn't take a hit back here either, which is very nice. The seats. So they're the same faux leather with diamond stitching as up front. Really, really comfortable, may I say. The headrests, like, this is really nice headrest, like genuine. Oh, that was my phone. Like genuinely really supportive. What the hell? Like, where does this come from? I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's just like, I did not expect that. Pull this center armrest down, you get a nice soft touch here with a couple of cup holders. And so yes, back space is actually very good. What about the third row though? Because that is, of course, the biggest selling point when you compare it to a Tigo 7 Pro, other than the engine. Well, let's talk about that. Okay, so getting into the third row is not necessarily the easiest, but it's pretty simple. You just slide this seat forward. You don't get a lot of room, but as an adult, maybe that's not what it's meant for. But anyway, coming in, pull this back. And honestly, if you try and pull it back all the way, you're not gonna fit back here. If you slide this seat forward, you can have enough room as a 5'11" male. Enough headroom and toe room is actually pretty good. But if you have a lot of space for the rear seat passengers, there's none for the third row. However, if you can just be normal adults and compromise, you'll be fine. So do as that with you will. I don't think it's the best in class. In fact, I think that is now reserved for the Hyundai Santa Fe, and we have a full review coming of that soon. So definitely make sure you subscribe for that. We also have a fan control back here, which is really nice. In fact, they've actually got plumbing of the aircon to the back, and it's really cold. So third row passengers, even in the summer, you're gonna be fine. And of course, you get the nice seats back here as well. Not quite as bougie as these seats, but pretty good. All right, now we're gonna launch it. But before we do, I wanna give a quick shout out to us, carsauce.com/buy. If you guys want the absolute best price for your next new car with cars that are actually in stock, best of all, we don't charge you, we charge the dealers a fixed fee. So we will always go in hard to get you the best price possible because it's in our interest. We have hundreds of satisfied customers, and I know you guys will be too. So head to carsauce.com/buy if you want the best way to buy your next new car. Like seriously, it is the best way. Alrighty, now it's time to launch the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max. We're gonna put the car into
off-road, economic, normal mode, sports mode, snow mode entered.
No.
Sports mode entered.
Ah, there we go. So we have our specialist timing gear up here. We are going to brake boost it and launch it and see how we go. So let's do it. Brake boosting it, launching it. Jesus, it's pretty quick. Jesus, that's really fast. 0 to 100 in 6.95 seconds. This thing's like a hot hatch. It's actually quite fast. Wow. Impressive. Alrighty guys, driving the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max. We've established it's pretty fast, I think. It's got a pretty fast 0 to 100, 6.95 seconds, that's fast. Like all good SUV launches, we are smack bang in Sydney. What a great place to drive. So powering the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max, well, it's actually in the name. Pro Max is actually in reference to the 2-litre turbo petrol engine that Chery offers, and it puts out 180 kilowatt of power, 375 Newton meters of torque, which are actually pretty impressive outputs. And all of that goes through a Borg Warner all-wheel drive system. The other thing that this gets is auto stop start. When you come to a stop and the engine turns off like it has now, and then you accelerate, it takes a second. That woman just said, F you, even though she cut in front of me. What is with Sydney drivers? She was like, anyway, you put your foot down, it takes a second. But thankfully, if you just swipe across here and you press this button, it stays off. So it defaults to off now. So every time you turn off the car, don't worry, it's not gonna just turn back on. But thankfully, the transmission, it doesn't feel bad. It actually feels relatively refined. You put your foot down, it's actually quite fast to shift. This car pulls really hard. It's got a lot of torque from that engine. And the good news is you never really notice the transmission, which is just how I want it in my SUVs. And apparently they've made over like 3 million of these transmissions, put them in different cars, and they're actually relatively reliable too. So that's good. The ride quality, I would call it Euro. It's got a really nice firmness to it while also being comfortable. And this is why I call it Euro. It's very much like a Volkswagen-y feel. It just feels comfortable. Very, very comfortable. In fact, I was really quite surprised because the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro feels quite floaty in comparison to this. This actually feels quite well put together. For me, really, the biggest issue, even if we put the car into sport mode and you turn a corner, the steering still feels really quite light and a little bit vague, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think for most people, you're not going to care. In fact, that's probably what you're going to want, because when you are around town, there's nothing worse than really heavy steering. But if you were looking to have like a lot of fun in your Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max, well, I'm not going to say it's the most dynamic SUV out there, but what it does do is just strike a very, very good balance between comfort, performance, and more importantly, price. Because really, I can barely think of any other 3-row SUVs as competitively priced as this. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to like. And you're not buying, if I'm being totally honest, you're just not buying a box, you know? It just drives nice and well. The other thing they've updated, which is good, is the driver assistance system. So I never really had a massive issue, and they've been iterating and getting better over time. But now if you hold down this steering wheel that says A on it, and then we turn on the adaptive cruise control, it not only keeps us a safe distance from the car in front of us, but it will also do a really good job of steering you in the lane without like those harsh little movements. It's nice and slower, sweeping movements. And if you know anything about that, trust me, it's better. It just means it's not tugging the wheel out of your hands. And of course, you can turn it off and leave it off if you don't want it. The thing that is very annoying in this car is the driver monitoring system. If you wear glasses, it can't read through that. It doesn't like my eyes apparently, because it just keeps telling me I've been distracted for too long, is what it says, even when I'm just looking at the display here. So I turn that off every time, and it's just a bit of a pain in the bum to do so. But apparently Chery have heard this feedback and they're really trying to work on it. So hopefully over time with software updates, that will get better. Again, it's happened again. Distracted for a long time apparently. Look, I think overall I'm really impressed, especially for the price. When you keep in mind that this thing tops out under 48 grand on the road, it feels like a bit of a steal to me. Honestly, it's a really good price. And for everything you get, 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assistance, a relatively cheap servicing, and a very punchy engine, why not? Seriously, why not? I will say, being the all-wheel drive, you definitely notice the benefits of having the extra traction. With the front-wheel drive, it's actually quite easy to slip the front wheels by accident, because it's a significant amount of power and torque going through to the front wheels through an open differential, which essentially means that it can't modulate the power very well, like most SUVs. In that case, you almost want a less powerful engine. In other markets, you can get it with a 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine. We've seen that in the Chery Omoda 5 GT, which we recently reviewed, and also the Chery Tiggo 6 Pro that gets that. But this 2-litre engine would really still be my choice. I'm averaging about 9 litres per 100 kilometers over a mix of driving, which is decent for a 3-row family SUV. And again, I feel like the 2 grand extra over the Tigo 7 Pro is worth it just for the engine. You shut up. And with that, let's get into our final thoughts. Alrighty guys, final thoughts on the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max. Should you buy this beast, the beast of a Chinese big SUV? Well, honestly, I would 100% buy one over a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro, even though I don't think the handling is quite as good. Everything else about this car is better for like 2 grand more. I think you'd be nuts not to. Do I think it's the best SUV in the world? Absolutely not. But for its price, when you keep that in mind, in fact, this thing doesn't really even start to touch on a Kia Sorento or the updated Hyundai Santa Fe in terms of pricing. So actually it's a really good value SUV that drives pretty well. So really no complaints. And of course, if you want to buy one of these, you can click the link in the description below. We will help you get the best price with cars that are in stock free for you. It's literally a no-brainer. CarSauce.com/buy. Ciao for now.